A woman saw her husband being intimate with another woman, but instead of getting angry, she became excited. She even gave the woman on the bed a thumbs up when her husband wasn't looking. Dahai and her family are habitual scammers. Under her uncle's guidance, she marries men, sets them up to cheat, and then catches them in the act to demand a substantial breakup fee. This time, Dahai targeted a wealthy family, but was unaware of their hidden secrets. The family matriarch, Bok Man-hom, took her family to a cliff and ordered her overweight daughter to take off. The daughter posed for flight, but didn't move, revealing they were a family with superpowers. Man-hom could foresee the future in dreams. The daughter could levitate, and the son could revisit past moments of happiness. However, they all suffered from modern ailments. Man-hom had insomnia, the daughter couldn't fly due to obesity, and the son faced depression, unable to revisit the past. The granddaughter, born without any special abilities, worried Man-hom about the potential extinction of their powers in her generation. After another failed attempt at flight by her daughter, a disheartened Man-hom contemplated jumping into the sea but was too scared to proceed. At that moment, her alcoholic son disappeared, leading her to believe he had regained his ability to travel to the past. Instead, he was found floating in the sea, and Dahai, who jumped in to save him, was embraced by him as he mistook her for his deceased wife. Seeing her son responsive to someone else, Man-hom was thrilled, but forgot to ask Dahai for her contact information. The next day, Man-hom continued her routine visit to the massage parlor, where masseuses were reluctant to serve her picky nature. However, Dahai volunteered, managing to put Man-hom to sleep, earning a hefty tip, and recognizing her as her son's savior, which delighted Man-hom even more. Dahai, under the pretext of providing massage services, visited their lavish estate. Guiju's room, in contrast, was a mess strewn with empty bottles. Dahai, implementing her seduction plan, tried to engage with Guiju, who ignored her, leading her to drop a bottle deliberately. As Man-hom appeared, Dahai quickly cleaned up, subtly taking care of Guiju in the process, which further impressed Man-hom. During a massage session, Dahai lied about being an orphan and having tragic marital experiences. Not knowing Man-hom sympathized with her fabricated misfortunes. Seeing a connection in their shared grief with Guiju, Man-hom hoped they could comfort each other. Despite an invitation to stay for dinner, Dahai tactically declined, strengthening Man-hom's resolve to have her as a daughter-in-law. After leaving, Man-hom unknowingly drank the drugged tea Dahai had prepared, which led her to dream, a rare occurrence due to her insomnia. In her dream, Dahai wore a ring belonging to their family, exciting Man-hom, who then saw Dahai as the savior of their family. On her granddaughter's birthday, Man-hom specially invited Dahai to have dinner at their house. Guiju realized it was a matchmaking dinner and tried to dissuade Dahai by revealing he had a 13-year-old rebellious daughter, warning Dahai would be seen as a cruel stepmother if she tried to discipline her. He mentioned his sister stuffs every boyfriend's pockets with a lot of money, helping them start bars, cafes, and even recently a hospital. To stop Guiju from continuing, Man-hom pulled him aside for a private talk. The atmosphere turned awkward, leaving Dahai at a loss. She went to the kitchen to get water, but walked in on the mother and son arguing. Man-hom scolded her son for not appreciating her efforts. Since his wife's death, he had been a shadow of his former self, and she just wanted to see him recover. Hearing her harsh words, her son insisted on creating his own future, even having a child willfully. Man-hom had predicted this marriage would fail and felt their current situation proved her point. Her words hurt her granddaughter standing on the staircase, who felt her birth was a mistake and the start of all tragedies. She emotionlessly blew out the birthday candles and returned to her room. Seeing her son walk into the rain, Man-hom nearly fainted from distress. Dahai offered to take Man-hom to the hospital, but was asked by Yeom-sun-gu to turn off the stove. Dahai, afraid of fire, cautiously tried to turn it off. During her anxious moment, Guiju's daughter turned off the stove. Dahai was about to explain when the daughter asked what she intended to add to the dish next. Dahai learned her daughter knew about the drugging and explained it was just licorice extract to enhance the tea's flavor. Dahai cleaned the kitchen and microwaved seaweed soup and rice for the daughter, tasting it first to prove it was safe. Reassured, the daughter ate and then shared the family's secret of superpowers and illnesses with Da-hai, advising her to stay away from their troubled family. Da-hai clarified to the girl that her father did not jump into the sea with bad intentions, but to retrieve a toy for a child. Meanwhile, Gwiju was visiting his wife's grave, and his in-laws also arrived, blaming him for only their daughter's death. Recalling the car accident, Gwiju remembered their happy life and his ability to return to the past to help others. That day, he disappeared in the car, and when he returned, he found his wife fatally injured. Since then, he had lost his ability to feel happiness and his superpower, living life like a zombie. Returning home and learning his daughter had eaten the meal Da-hai made, he felt grateful and courageously gave his daughter her birthday gift. She casually threw the toy into a cupboard filled with similar ones, showing she had grown up while he remained stuck in the past, giving her gifts suited for a younger child. Da-hai shared the situation of Gwiju's family with her own, analyzing that besides their gym, they had no other businesses, yet they were extremely wealthy. She suspected their superpowers were real, possibly allowing Manhum to foresee stock market trends and make a fortune. Interestingly, they suffered from a modern ailment. They lost their superpowers. The family laughed heartily at her wild ideas, joking that they lived too comfortably. If they worked hard like them daily, they'd fall asleep instantly and couldn't even gain weight. However, if Da-hai wanted to marry, she first needed to bond with Gwiju's daughter and deal with his difficult elder sister. Since his wife's death, Gwiju's life had been bleak. The toy he gave his daughter ended up in the trash, leaving Gwiju deeply frustrated. To make up for the years of neglect, he went shopping to buy another gift for his daughter. Da-hai received information from her uncle and went to the mall, pretending to bump into Gwiju. She kindly helped him choose a gift, but her efforts were met with coldness. As Gwiju was about to leave, Da-hai grabbed him, creating an awkward moment. Gwiju returned his sleeve, went off to drink alone, and Da-hai forced the shoes she chose into his hands. Gwiju threw money on the table, wanting to settle the matter with Da-hai. Da-hai sighed in frustration, finding him impervious and the task too difficult. Just then, a fire alarm went off, causing panic and everyone to run, except Da-hai, who was paralyzed by her fear of fire, collapsing in despair. Feeling abandoned by the world, she was gripped by hopelessness until a hand firmly grabbed hers. The mall announced the alarm was a false alarm. There was no fire. Coming to her senses, Da-hai saw that Gwiju had already disappeared. Gwiju returned home, hung the gift on his daughter's door, and saw her happily trying on the new shoes in front of the mirror, which brought a smile to his face. Manhum still wanted to matchmake Da-hai with Gwiju, calling her to their gym and promising the building to the couple if they married. Da-hai, not wanting to appear too eager, claimed that marriage wasn't about material things, but about life together. Hearing her mother's words, the elder sister felt discontent, wanting the building herself and vowing to marry before Gwiju. Manhum didn't trust a love bought with money. At that moment, Da-hai's sister, undercover as a fitness trainer, was eavesdropping on their conversation. Seeing Gwiju at the gym, Da-hai immediately thanked him for grabbing her hand in the emergency. But Gwiju looked confused, as if he didn't recall the incident. Da-hai's family discussed their progress in the scam, noting that despite their efforts, Gwiju remained cold as stone, and his sister also aimed for the building. Da-hai decided to split up. Her sister would sabotage the elder sister's marriage, while her uncle would investigate the daughter's situation. The daughter was lonely and introverted at school, required to join a club but too shy to enter. Her teacher called Gwiju to express concern, hoping he would pay more attention to his daughter. Gwiju found her club application form and tried to sign it but couldn't control his hand. He went out to find alcohol, but Soon-gu had locked away all the alcohol at home. Soon-gu invited him out for a drink, only for Gwiju to discover it was a setup by Manhum and Da-hai, who had been waiting for a while. The parents left, giving them a chance to bond. Gwiju remained indifferent, drinking sullenly. Meanwhile, the elder sister went to see her doctor boyfriend, but heard a woman's shy laugh from the clinic. Imagining her boyfriend in an intimate moment with another woman, she couldn't help but burst in, only to find them sitting together, looking at a computer screen. Da-hai's sister left gracefully. The boyfriend complained about being misunderstood, and the elder sister took out a marriage application, hoping to get married quickly, only to be rejected by the boyfriend. Frustrated, she started exercising intensely, feeling faster and thinking she had regained her ability to fly. Dahai's sister's efforts were effective, but Dahai saw no progress on her end. Nearby, Gwiju was drunk and uncommunicative. Just then, his daughter called him, feeling someone was following her on her way home. She ran into a public restroom in fear and called her family for help. Her grandfather was listening to music. Her grandmother had fallen asleep after drinking Dahai's tea, and her aunt was intensely exercising. With no one else to turn to, she called her father. Dahai picked up the phone, learned of the danger, and urgently told the drunken Gwiju, asking him to stay put while she went to find his daughter. However, Gwiju rushed out, spurred by his daughter's first call to him. Dahai helped him, and they stumbled their way to the daughter's location. Gwiju saw a man with a helmet nearby and, suspecting him of harboring bad intentions, confronted him. Dahai recognized the man as her uncle and signaled him to flee. Gwiju punched the uncle, who pretended to fall and roll on the ground. Gwiju then reassured his daughter that he had chased away the bad guy. The daughter, clutching her skirt, seemed uneasy. Dahai realized the reason and bought her sanitary products, wrapped a cloth around her waist, and comforted her. Gwiju, seeing this, felt guilty for his neglect and realized his daughter might indeed need a mother. He took his daughter home and, grateful to Dahai, invited her to dinner. Dahai mentioned how Gwiju had held her hand at the mall, suggesting they were even. Gwiju denied it again, not believing her. Back home, he closed his eyes and tried to remember, unexpectedly traveling back to the day at the mall. He saw himself with the gift for his daughter as the alarm caused panic. He moved against the crowd and found Dahai lying on the ground in fear, mirroring the scene she described. To test if his powers had returned, he took a deep breath, hoping to return to the day of his wife's car accident to save her. Instead, he found himself back on the day Dahai saved him at the beach, realizing he could only return to moments involving Dahai. Shocked, he closed his eyes again, trying to return to a moment with his daughter, but found Dahai there as well. Gwiju questioned Dahai's significance, why he could only reach her in his travels. He suspected Dahai of using some method to control him or implant something in his mind, similar to how her tea helped his mother sleep. As Gwiju grew frustrated with Dahai, Manhum appeared and suggested that what Dahai had instilled in Gwiju's mind was love. Since dreaming of Dahai with the family ring, Manhum had believed Dahai was destined to save their family. Now that Dahai had influenced Gwiju, she decisively asked Dahai to move in and tutor the daughter, allowing them to observe Dahai closely. To create an opportunity for the two of them, Manhum deliberately arranged a date. Gwiju watched Dahai from afar, noticing that his supernatural abilities were restored because of her. Yet, he felt it unnecessary to keep Dahai close, as he couldn't change anything by returning to the past. Gwiju harbored a long-buried, painful memory. He was once a firefighter. On the day his daughter was born, his squad leader covered his shift to let him visit his newborn. That day, a school caught fire. The squad leader rushed into the blaze to save others and never returned. His death became Gwiju's haunting obsession. He wished to return to the past to save his squad leader, but each attempt only showed him the delivery room door in color. Everything else was untouchable, gray. He could only watch helplessly as his squad leader rushed into the fire, unable to intervene. Believing he could find another door to open since he could touch the delivery room's doorknob, Gwiju repeatedly revisited the day of the fire, searching for answers for 7 years. The happiest day of his life was also his most painful. Unable to move past his trauma, Gwiju resigned from firefighting. As his daughter grew up, the family rarely went out together. During a rare trip to the zoo, his wife warned him not to vanish again, or she would leave him with their daughter. Right after Gwiju explained that his disappearances were involuntary, he vanished again. When he returned to the car, he found his wife had died in a car accident. Overwhelmed by past memories and pain, he left without meeting Dahai for their planned date. The next day, Dahai arrived at Gwiju's house with luggage and flowers, which Manhum mistakenly thought were for him. However, Dahai said the flowers were from Gwiju, who denied it and suspected Dahai was confused.
지금 뭐 하는 거야? 왜 이런 거짓말을 하는 거지? 내가 이 꽃을 줬다고? 언제? 어디서?
분수대요.
뭔 소리 하는 거야? 그날 난 도달씨 근처에 간 적이 없어요.
귀주 씨가 나 안 왔잖아요.
안 왔다고요? 내가?
아니, 그렇게 온몸으로 꽉 끌어안았으면서.
Da-hai moved in and took care of meals, but the family was dysfunctional. She called everyone for dinner, but Man-hum was asleep, Soon-gu was out, the daughter stayed upstairs, and Gwiju remained aloof. Da-hai decided to connect with the daughter by complimenting her eyes and helping her with her eyebrows. Outside, Gwiju smiled at this interaction.
역시 네가 열쇠야.
500억짜리 건물을 여는 열쇠요?
너 방금 뭐라고 했어?
Although Da-hai initially thought it absurd that the daughter might have mind-reading abilities, she wasn't wrong. At school, after a classmate forcibly removed her glasses, a boy she admired helped her and was struck by her beauty.
너 눈썹 받아먹구나? 야, 되게 잘했는데? 한번 좀 봐봐. 미안. 역시 투명 인간으로 있는 편이 나았다.
그러게. 뭔가 달라졌는데? 예쁘다. 왜 안경이 손대지 말랬는지 알겠다. 안경 벗으면 고장나네.
Later, as Da-hai prepared dinner, a fire started, and Gwiju extinguished it. He told her not to bother with dinner anymore, as they didn't have a tradition of eating together. However, the daughter joined them for the meal, which pleased Gwiju. After dinner, Gwiju went to throw out the trash and found a bouquet identical to the one Da-hai held. It transported him back to the day of their date, where he saw Da-hai waiting by a fountain but walked away. Gwiju realized Da-hai might be the key to saving himself and his daughter, but the only way to save Da-hai was to push her away. Despite thinking this, he found himself walking toward Da-hai uncontrollably. As Da-hai's words were about to come true, Gwiju hid the flowers behind his back, forcing himself not to give them or embrace her. Suddenly, a car nearly hit Da-hai. Gwiju pulled her into his arms. Unaware, Da-hai returned to the moment of giving flowers. At that time, she was observing Man-hum studying stocks. Seeing Man-hum with a headache, she took the initiative to make tea. At this moment, the eldest sister returned home with luggage. Designed by Da-hai's sister, the eldest sister witnessed her doctor boyfriend passionately kissing the sister. Just as Man-hum was reclaiming the house she lived in, the eldest sister took the opportunity to break up with the unfaithful man. He lamented missing how she used to be, but the past was painful. Once a dazzling runway model, the man was just a fan. She had helped him succeed, but he now despised her current state. Da-hai had just drugged Man-hum's tea when the eldest sister came to drink it. Da-hai, anxious, snatched the cup, arousing suspicion. To clear herself, she drank the tea, quickly feeling the sleeping pills take effect. As drowsiness hit, she noticed the sister acting suspiciously upstairs. Da-hai secretly followed and filmed evidence of her transferring assets, planning to expose her to Man-hum and disqualify her as an heir. Suddenly, she saw the sister levitating, thinking she saw a ghost, and ran away in panic. Tripping in her fright, Gwiju caught her.
괜찮아요?
He returned to the moment of their date, hugged her, and gave her flowers, as Da-hai had mentioned. Back in reality, he told his father about traveling back to save people, but realized he could only return to times with Da-hai. His father, after researching, defined their unique connection as love. Gwiju denied it was love, but his father believed Da-hai was special to him. Coming out of the study, Gwiju saw Da-hai panicking about ghosts. Da-hai, seeing him suddenly downstairs, fainted. She had just been in his arms upstairs. The family gathered around the bed, worried about her condition. The eldest sister suggested she had merely overdosed on sleeping pills meant for their mother. Man-hum doubted her words, suspecting she was antagonizing Da-hai over inheritance issues. Gwiju, recalling Da-hai's actions, guessed she might have seen his future self. The next day, Da-hai woke up, and the eldest sister tested her intentions for staying in the house. Gwiju stopped her on the stairs to ask about the previous day's events. Da-hai, worried about revealing her surveillance of the vault, looked for an excuse to leave, seeing her daughter heading out to school. She hurried to prepare breakfast. Man-hum arrived, asking if Da-hai frequented the sauna, having dreamt of her being taken away in an ambulance from there. Da-hai, shocked and nearly losing composure, didn't doubt this family's supernatural abilities. While unobserved, she packed to leave, unaware Gwiju was watching from upstairs and followed her to the sauna. Da-hai revealed all the oddities about Gwiju's family to her mother, hoping to change targets. Her mother, however, didn't believe her, saying that even if Gwiju's home had ghosts, their money was still money. At that moment, an uncle saw Gwiju there, stalling for time while trying to call Da-hai, whose phone was locked in a locker. Gwiju searched and finally found Da-hai just as she called her mother. He exposed Da-hai's lies and questioned why she lied about being an orphan. When her mother sensed trouble, she signaled the uncle to trigger the fire alarm. Da-hai was terrified by her nightmare and knelt on the ground, trembling. Gwiju helped Da-hai up, but they both slipped and fell. Da-hai hit her head and was knocked unconscious, then taken away in an ambulance. At the hospital, her mother told Gwiju Da-hai's story, revealing she was not her biological mother. She had come to collect a debt when Da-hai's father died, and ended up transferring the debt to Da-hai. After Da-hai had a serious accident and refused treatments to save money, her mother, feeling pity, took her in to work off the debt. She told him to ask Da-hai about the accident, as she refused to say more. When Da-hai woke up, Gwiju signed his name on the hospital form and took her home. In the car, he explained that holding her hand in the mall and giving her flowers on their date were actions of his future self, which is why she would see him disappear suddenly. Back home, Man-hum scolded Gwiju for revealing family secrets prematurely. Gwiju blamed his mother's prophetic dreams for the troubles. Man-hum recalled how Gwiju had been in anguish years ago for not being able to save his wife in the past. Gwiju found an ultrasound photo in his wife's bag and wondered why she didn't tell him about the pregnancy. It had been 7 years since Man-hum last dreamed, and she believed Da-hai could help them retrieve what they had lost. She advised Gwiju not to attempt to change the past, as it was futile. Gwiju ignored his mother's advice, realizing he could return to the past to save Da-hai. If he could only save her, he was determined to try. Da-hai accepted that Gwiju's family had supernatural abilities and documented everyone's powers to find a leverage point. Her mother had given her an ultimatum to marry Gwiju quickly. Seeing a chance to save people in Da-hai, Gwiju poured out all his alcohol, determined to improve himself. He used his powers to return to the sauna to prevent Da-hai's fall and subsequent hospital visit. By mistake, he followed her into the women's changing room. Overheated, back in reality, he stood under the shower to calm down. When he used his powers again, he found himself back on the stairs at home, catching Da-hai as she almost fell, just as she had described. Realizing it was indeed his future self who had repeatedly saved her, Da-hai, seeing Gwiju wet from his return, understood he had just come back from that day. Using the fact that the future Gwiju would save her, she pulled out a marriage registration form, claiming it was a gift from the future Gwiju. Gwiju was skeptical and felt the sequence was wrong. He could be responsible for past actions, but Da-hai was asking him to pay for future deeds, which seemed problematic. As Gwiju was about to leave, Da-hai stopped him. Her mother had found out that Gwiju had quit his firefighter job because a good colleague had died in a fire while saving a school. Da-hai told Gwiju about a fire at her high school, where someone had saved her. She saw the resemblance to her rescuer in Gwiju and guessed it was the future Gwiju who had saved her. Gwiju remembered his own returns to the day of the fire, but still felt the sequence was wrong. To marry, there had to be love first. He wanted to see if love could develop between them, and kissed Da-hai. At night, Gwiju was restless, unsure if Da-hai was telling the truth. Every time he closed his eyes, he would return to the moment they kissed. Even if he covered his head and tossed and turned, his subconscious would distract him. This made him frustrated and nearly drove him mad. The next day, Gwiju asked Da-hai to come to the garden to talk in detail about the fire incident and how he had saved her. Da-hai was hesitant and changed the topic, suggesting that since they had kissed, their relationship should progress further. Guiju was still unclear about the marriage registration form and explained that the kiss was just to confirm if there was love between them. During their conversation, an incident occurred at home. Manhum discovered that a watch was missing and suspected the elder sister had taken it. It was obvious she was hiding something behind her back. During the argument between mother and daughter, the item fell to the ground. Manhum saw that it was not a watch but a packet of food. The elder sister suspected Da-hai had stolen it because she had doubts about Da-hai's identity from the start. When they went to find Da-hai, she was startled and hid something behind her back. The elder sister, thinking she had caught Da-hai red-handed, snatched the item, only to find it was the marriage registration form. Manhum saw that Guiju had already stamped it and thought their relationship was naturally progressing. Guiju took the form, questioning why Da-hai had it. Da-hai explained that she saw it on the table and was about to put it in a drawer when the elder sister arrived. However, Guiju remembered clearly that he had put it in the drawer, suspecting Da-hai lied to marry him. The parents were pleased with this development and discussed arranging the wedding soon. Guiju thought the first step should be to meet the parents. Unable to hide it anymore, Da-hai confessed that after her father died, a woman supported her and she called this woman Mom. Learning that Da-hai's mom worked in a sauna, Manhum was upset as she had a bad feeling about that sauna from her dreams. She asked Seung-gu to investigate Da-hai's mom's background. After some investigation, Seung-gu learned that Da-hai's mom had a criminal record, not only for fraud, but also for loan sharking, and there were rumors she had caused a death. Seung-gu hurriedly informed his wife, but it was too late. Da-hai's mom was already sitting in Guiju's living room. It turned out Da-hai's uncle had been monitoring Guiju's family and immediately informed her when he saw Seung-gu investigating. To preemptively handle the situation, Da-hai's mom came forward to discuss the wedding and admitted her past crimes, claiming she had reformed and was earning an honest living by giving baths. Da-hai's mom pushed for the marriage, offering to prepare a sufficient dowry for Da-hai. Her only requirement was that Da-hai should marry as planned. Manhum was confused and unsure whether to believe her. Seung-gu thought that since she had reformed, there was no need to hold her past against her. At this moment, Guiju, still troubled by the past fire incident and whether he had saved Da-hai, asked her to describe the details again. Just as Da-hai was getting annoyed, Guiju suddenly disappeared. Guiju returned to the day of the garden confrontation about the fire. He saw Da-hai slap him, and they parted unhappily. After walking a few steps, Da-hai realized her shoelace was undone, but she didn't tie it. Her expression seemed sad. Guiju thought reminiscing about the fire was painful for Da-hai and, unable to bear seeing her sad, he went over and tied her shoelace. Internally conflicted, Guiju returned to the moment he kissed Da-hai, unsure if he still had the ability to love. However, as he turned around, he saw his daughter stealing Manhum's watch. He tried to stop and question his daughter, but he couldn't touch her, and she couldn't hear him. Indeed, it was as it appeared. Manhum's lost watch was taken by his daughter and given to the school beauty. On receiving the watch, the school beauty took a liking to the daughter's sneakers. Hearing the school beauty's desire, the daughter lent her the shoes to make friends. Da-hai, seeing her daughter's sneakers, remembered being bullied by a group of girls in school. Worried her daughter might suffer the same, she went to check on her. However, the daughter saw through Da-hai's concern. Suspecting her daughter could hear her thoughts, Da-hai tested her by thinking there was a spider on her head. The daughter didn't fall for it and used messaging a friend as an excuse to send her away. Back in reality, Guiju came to the school looking for his daughter, but Da-hai had already arrived, still concerned about bullying. She saw the school beauty wearing her daughter's sneakers. Da-hai asked her daughter to tell the truth about being bullied, threatening to inform Guiju. The daughter threatened to expose Da-hai as a liar if she snitched. After speaking, she removed her glasses and stared straight into Da-hai's eyes. Da-hai, terrified by the family's daunting abilities, turned to leave, but ran into Guiju. In panic, she ran and hid in the dance studio's storage, where a passing teacher accidentally locked her in. Trapped, Da-hai was reminded of a harrowing memory from school when she was locked in a storage overnight and unnoticed during a fire drill. Amidst the smoke, she tried desperately to escape. Just as she was about to give up, Guiju appeared. He woke her from her flashback, and she burst into tears, recounting being locked up during the fire. Guiju recalled a past event where he shouted warnings during a fire at a school. Realizing Dahai was the person saved by the class president, Guiju helped Dahai out of the storage and asked her to wait while he took a call from the daughter's teacher. Upon returning, he found Dahai gone. He took his daughter home, wanting to discuss the stolen watch, but she accused him of nearly costing her friends and refused to talk further, asking him to speak with Dahai instead. Upon reaching home, Guiju found Dahai's room empty. She had not returned. Meanwhile, Dahai had revealed the family's superpowers to her uncle, unable to continue the deceit, fearing dire consequences. Her uncle suggested she persevere as the wedding was near, but Dahai told him to stop interfering. Guiju found Dahai in a sauna, where he tried to assist her in impressing her mother by moving things. He pleaded with her to talk to his daughter, but Dahai coldly ended their relationship, overwhelmed by his family's superpowers. At this moment, she just wants to distance herself from Guiju's family. Guiju, undeterred by Dahai's aloofness, changes his usual demeanor. He opens the curtains, cleans the room, and unusually makes breakfast for his daughter, who is unable to process this sudden show of fatherly love and ignores it. After finishing at home, Guiju goes to the sauna to work for free despite objections, staying close to Dahai every day. Fed up, Dahai confronts him, asking what it will take for him to leave her alone. Seizing the moment, Guiju asks her to visit their daughter. Dahai goes to the school where her daughter questions if she has said anything about her to her father. Dahai attempts a heartfelt conversation, admitting she said nothing and that Guiju is just worried about her. Dahai is concerned whether her daughter is sacrificing her true self to fit in with the popular girl. Her daughter denies this, claiming she is just making friends. Before leaving, her daughter asks Dahai to keep her superpowers a secret. Dahai relays to Guiju that their daughter does not appear to be bullied at school and suggests he pay more attention to her. Guiju again asks Dahai to come home with him, but she firmly refuses. Manhum, who has been suffering from insomnia, suggests that Dahai come back to make tea for her, though she still doubts Dahai's mother's identity. To thoroughly check on the family, she sends her daughter to spy in the sauna. The elder sister, while soaking in the pool, spots the gym coach, who is Dahai's sister, and Dahai's mother immediately recognizes the elder sister's identity, telling her to go home and inform Manhum that they consider Dahai a thief and she won't come home again. The elder sister shares her findings with the family, suspecting the sisters are conspiring to prevent her marriage to the doctor by using seduction tactics to give Dahai a chance. Manhum believes her daughter's version. However, Guiju does not believe Dahai is a swindler. To test whether Dahai can help them regain their superpowers, he disappears on the spot and returns saying he can go back to the times with Dahai, just as his mother can only dream of Dahai. He speculates that even his daughter might have changed. His guess is correct as his daughter becomes more confident in school, helping the school beauty arrange a meeting with a boy she likes by the merry-go-round, only to have the boy confess to her instead. Surprised, the daughter is caught off guard when the school beauty, seeing this, throws her sneakers to the ground, wanting to end their friendship. On the other side, persuaded by Sungu, Manhum personally visits Dahai's mother at the sauna. Dahai's mother pretends and states that it is not Dahai who wants to marry into their family, but Guiju, who is persistent. The couple goes to the kitchen and sees Guiju peeling garlic, shocking Manhum almost to fainting. She is left to rest in the sauna room, but falls asleep unknowingly. Guiju and his parents go home while Manhum firmly opposes the marriage between Guiju and Dahai, having foreseen the outcome. Yet, Guiju insists on marrying, needing to see the end for himself. Guiju brings Dahai's favorite flowers to propose.
받아들여요, 도달 씨.
내가 안 하겠다면요. 말했잖아요. 구할 필요 없다고.
도다이는 살아있어요. 그게 나의 설계예요. 도다이가 살아있다는 건 내가 언젠가 도다이를 구할 거라는 증거예요. 그 희망을 붙잡고 한번 살아보게요. 미래가 정해졌다고 해도 나는 지금 내가 할 일을 할 겁니다. 그게 결혼이든 사랑이든.
Dahai's family celebrates the imminent acquisition of 50 billion, but Dahai is unhappy. Back in her room, she receives a message from her daughter congratulating her on successfully deceiving into marriage, calling her Aunt Swindler. On the wedding day, the elder sister tries to trick Da-hae's sister in the gym, falsely claiming to have found illegal drugs in Da-hae's room. Unwary, the sister says Da-hae doesn't have such things, but sleeping pills might be possible. The elder sister immediately guesses that Da-hae put sleeping pills in her mother's tea to make her sleep. The eldest sister hurried home to find evidence to expose Da-hae. She searched Da-hae's room thoroughly and eventually found a ring in a suitcase. Holding the evidence, she went to confront Da-hae but was stopped by her younger sister on the stairs. During their argument, the eldest sister accidentally fell from the stairs, but instead of hitting the ground, she flew. The sight left her younger sister frozen in shock. Meanwhile, Guiju and Da-hae slowly entered the wedding venue. Guiju asked Da-hae to take a good look around, considering it a moment of happiness that he might often revisit. However, Da-hae pulled away from him, confessing that her future did not include him, and she would not return because the entire scenario was a deception, not a happy memory worth revisiting. He was the third target chosen by her mother. He had entered the sea, and she had saved him. It was all a scam. The suspicious figure around her daughter was her accomplice. Manham managed to sleep because she had drugged his tea. After confessing her crimes, Da-hae apologized to Guiju, threw the bouquet, and left the wedding venue.